What's up, guys? My name is MrGreen. I have just woken up, but falling behind, so I gotta catch up. And we're here with the review of Section.80, finally. Section.80 is Kendrick Lamar's first studio album. We have finally made it. It's been a long journey. Not really that long, just long for me, not for you. For you, it's just been kind of abrupt. But, we're here. We're made it. We're here with a review of Section.80. Well, our producer, Good Kid, To Pimp a Butterfly, Untitled Unmastered, and Damn, coming soon. And then hopefully that new one will be released just in time. And so let's just get right into it. We don't have that much time, so let's just go. It is early and I'm tired, but I'm here. Yeah. This track is a good start to the album with a skit that that goes throughout the whole album, that kind of ties it to the themes about I'll go through them through the rest of the video. We have a good Alori Joe, I think that's how you say it. We got a good intro from them. Then we got a good chorus from Kendrick Lamar, where kind of says the title of the song, like a bit more leading up to it. We have some good verses, a little interlude in the middle with a reference to Terminator X. Love me some Public Enemy, always have, always will. And then, the bridge at the end setting up the theme of HiiiPoWeR throughout the whole album, as well as other things that will go throughout these little stories that we talk about with the songs. And then, we'll talk about what HiiiPoWeR means later. But, we will get there. But, this is a good track to start off. I like the catchy hook. I like the beat behind it. I like the verses. It just sounds like pleasing. It's a good track, and that's honestly one of my favorites. I just like to listen to it. But moving on. We have a great first verse on this song with Kendrick trying to seduce a stewardess on a plane, and then he paints himself as that generic, glamorous rapper that you all know about. And I always thought that was interesting, and it was kind of meta. It was writing about this as it was going on. It's one of those when I read about in my verses, I talk about writing my verses because it's happening in the present. I like that, and the other verses are pretty good as well. And then more things going back to the themes of the record. I don't want to get too much into the themes because there's this is one of those albums with a spoiler warning. I'll be honest. You should just listen to it for yourself. I'm being honest. Right off the bat, I'm already saying I recommend this. But chorus, throughout the album, there's a lot of choruses that are kind of basic and then a bit repetitive. But this one's kind of one of the most basic out of all of them. It's still sonically pleasing, it's catchy. It's the Hol Up. But it is a bit repetitive. But you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, and it's a pretty good song. A.D.H.D, this is the biggest song out of the whole album, and then it's got that nice refrain for the chorus, really catchy. They have a great pre-chorus. I'm gonna be honest, it's fire, man. And then they got some great verses about the early life of Kendrick Lamar, and then some more things talking about Section.80 being a baby of the '80s, the Reagan administration, and crack flooding the streets, and then now they're crack babies because we're born in the '80s, and yada yada yada. Again, we'll get back to this later on with more songs more directly addressing this. This one's more subtle with it throughout this, but this is a great song. We got a nice soul outro. Big fan of this one. It's just really catchy. So I see why it is the biggest one out of the album. There are a few that I do prefer over this one, but it's a good song. Now the question is this A.D.H.D or this A.D.H.D? Which one is better? See, while I'm editing this, and I'm realizing that I keep saying A.D.H.D by Ronald Lucas, blah, 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 but I'm actually talking about ISIS, the song with Logic. That's what I'm talking about. I don't even know if I referenced Logic at all. I think I did, but I'm editing it as we speak, but that's my bad. I said A.D.H.D by Ronald Lucas, even though I meant the song ISIS. And what's even weirder is that I gave more of my opinions on the general project of A.D.H.D, but ISIS, I get them mixed up. I just think of it as A.D.H.D instead of ISIS, the song. I just kind of think of the whole project and that. It makes it easier, but that's that. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Totally lied. So there actually is a song on A.D.H.D called A.D.H.D, which I totally forgot about, which says more about the project than I already did. And I'm just going to get rid of what I said about ISIS, the song, because it's all just whatever. And because it doesn't even, again, like I said, it doesn't even fit with what I think of the actual song, ISIS. But the song A.D.H.D by Ronald Lucas, Kendrick. Why? It's Kendrick all the way. Also, one more thing, just I wanted to run it back just to like give you the answer. And no, I actually didn't mention Logic in that little portion, so even better that I cut it. Anyway, now we're actually going back to the review. Anyway, A.D.H.D, good song, great song. Let's move on. I'm really speedrunning this. No makeup, her vice. We got good verse from Kendrick Lamar in the beginning, but the second one is really where it all picks up. And this one, like, this is a really good like second verse because like it's the same refrain. It's like the first verse is him saying like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty. You got all this. You don't need all that makeup." And the second verse is him saying those same things. It's the same verse as him, but now we also have her like thoughts and her like replies and how she feels about herself. And then at the end of the verse when it says like, "Oh, I have a black eye," and then it just cuts off and it says to be continued 11, which means the 11th track of the song, which we will get to eventually. I think that's amazing. Where this track falters is with the chorus, the Colin Monroe chorus. This song feels, aside from the second verse, feels very made for the radio because that chorus is just so like auto-tuned, so just blah. I didn't like it. I think it was very over, like toned down the auto-tune, and I think it might have been a bit better. And just like what they're talking about in the chorus, like the hook, the singing hook, it's a bit basic. It's a bit kind of, it is very for the radio and generic. And if you take the second verse out, the first verse is also applying to that. Like, you're so pretty, you don't need no makeup today. I want to know, do you mind? No makeup today, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, I just wasn't a big fan of that. And this was probably the one that was played on the radio the most. Cut out the second verse and you're good. But, you know, I wasn't a big fan of that. But this is also the first track that's got the kind of ones that are like telling the story, because it's like no makeup, her vice, and the next one's her evils, and then we have like his vice, his evils, and then we go on like more and more, which the structure of this album in like little short stories that are like placed throughout the album that you got to kind of piece together. Some are played like pretty like straightforward, like this one and its other like companion piece, but the companion piece is pretty far away. So, you know, I think it's a, like you have to really think about this one. I was looking back at my stream, my VOD, when I reacted to this, and I was tired, so I don't think I wasn't really present. I was kind of gone. Like, I was only present for this one because that to be continued 11 kind of threw me off, and then the companion piece for this one. But the song, that second verse doesn't deserve to be on a song like this. The first one's good too, but it just feels really kind of basic. And the one that like TDE was like, we need you to make something for the radio. Here, take this one, put this hook on it, and then we'll put it on the radio. Good. But, you know, it's probably the weakest point of the album, but there's a lot of great points that I would like to get to. Starting Tammy song, Her Evils. Now, I just want to say that the THC beat is when I love this beat. We have great storytelling about like, I'm still not entirely sure if it's one person or like multiple women that are like, oh, like they're like very attractive, and then like people are like, hey yo, like come with me, and they're like, no, I got a man, and they're very loyal until they find out that either they're cheating or they think that they're cheating, and then they cheat themselves. And then like in the last verse, it even says like they won't even cheat on them with other men, they'll cheat on them with women. And I'm like, this is very interesting. This is like the hook, and the chorus is also very wavy, going back to like the bridge in between their phases, being like loyal to them and then like think that they cheated, or maybe they did cheat and then they cheat themselves. And then the hook and the chorus change a little bit, but it sounds relatively the same as it continues along. I think it's a very, very good song. And it is one of my favorites throughout the whole album, just for like the storytelling, because this album shows Kendrick Lamar's most like basic storytelling. Like there's the ones that like require you to think and realize, oh, this is from this perspective or that perspective. Some of the songs on this one are not so much as a sing about me kind of perspective of storytelling, and more of a stan type of like perspective, where it's very like just really like kind of a script even. And I don't know which I prefer. I love both type of styles of storytelling in songs, and I really like this one as well. So let's just continue on. Chapter 6 is basically an interlude, and this is also a shift in the album, and there isn't a shift in themes, because right now we've been focusing on her vice and her evils and all of that stuff, and now we're shifting back into the Section.80, the crack babies and all of that. I feel weird saying that, I'm sorry. But, you know, now we're moving into like the generation affected by Ronald Reagan's administration, and this is like showing the shift back at that little campfire setting, which we had in the beginning, which is a setup, the spoken intro there, and the spoken interlude here. And then, they're like sharing around the fire, sharing about their vices and their evils and how they feel about everything. This whole album is really just them around this little fire setting, just confessing, and then Kendrick Lamar writing this down and then putting it in this record, their stories. I think that's a very interesting concept. I'm a big fan of this concept. And I also like that they named the people that have like had the last few songs named after them. And I'm like, that's good. They mentioned Tammy, and they mentioned one to come soon later, which I'm a little confused by because we'll get there when we get there. But I think that's a very nice, smart way to shift it through this interlude, and I'm just a big fan of just the storytelling and the story throughout this whole thing. So yeah, woo, let's go. Great Asterizer intro followed by an Absol interlude. I love these Absol interludes throughout the album, by the way. I'm a big fan of those. And Asterizer's got such a good voice for this. I just loved it, and it was just a great start to the song. And then we had the great chorus from Kendrick Lamar talking about like gangs in like Compton in that area, how they view him himself like as kind of like an outsider, like an observer, just kind of going around. And when like likes him, he's like, we're cool. And there's even a secret RZA feature on here. I love RZA, and I looked it up to make sure this wasn't just a sample. No, this is new, I believe. If I'm wrong, then I'm gonna feel bad. But catchy chorus, amazing verses that I don't really want to break down too much because this video would literally be hours. If I had to break down every single lyric and explain every single song, that would take too long. This has like too much stuff in it. It's got like showing how the Reagan administration like let drugs like flood like the like community of minorities in the 80s, and then it also like talking about like people like being fake gangsters. Those ones that are like, oh, I'm down, but they're not. They're just fake. The fakest kind of people. And then we also have lines about Kendrick Lamar being the best since Big Daddy Kane. So this is a lot for me to break down that I just don't want to. You do that for yourself because you should listen to this album and do your own research. I have done my research. I like it, but you need to form your own opinion and don't just listen to mine. So I'm going to continue to the next song. I just want to say that I love this one. I even love the outro, the refrain from Kendrick Lamar back to another absolute outro. This is great. I love this song. It's a great song. Go listen to it. Poor Man's Dreams, his vice. We're now at his vice. And this one's got a good chorus talking about his vices, naturally. A lot of verses talking about a lot of things, like his vices and others, that I am not going to talk about in full because that is for you to do. You need to hear this on your own. I'm not going to spoil every little bit of the album because that takes the fun out of it for you. I had to go on I was on watch. If I heard a sound of Kendrick Lamar's voice, I would shut it off, and I do that for months. And I think that has really helped enhance my experience. So I think you all should go in as blind as you can. Obviously, you're watching this video. Obviously, I'm going to have to go into things soon. But, just come on, go listen to it. It's good. Trust me, it's good. But, I'm not going to get too much into that. We get a nice refrain from GLC at the end and a great outro. It's like basic stuff. Good verses from Kendrick, obviously. Great rapping, great flows, all that good stuff. He's just consistently a good rapper throughout all of this. The choruses sometimes by him might not be as strong as you would hope, but the verses are always on point. So I'm going to move on to the next song. I was really confused when I first listened to this album because when it was like the to be continued 11 and we got to the 11th track, I was like, this isn't the 11th. This isn't what it's continuing. The one that's continuing is the 10th. What happened? Does he not know how to count? I figured he would know how. Oh, this is 11, not 10. And then, when I was going through taking notes for this song, I realized I didn't listen to that. Schoolboy Q? What? No, this wasn't there. And then I looked back at my bod and I was like, where did it go? I did some Googling and apparently the sample for the song was not cleared and they removed it off of Spotify. So that's not great. So if you would like to listen to the album in full, you're going to have to take a quick pause around this area and then go onto YouTube and search up Spiteful Chant featuring Schoolboy Q, and then you will listen to the song and you will realize, wow, that amazing beat is the reason why it was removed from Spotify. That sucks. Because the beat is amazing. Schoolboy Q's verse, he steals the song. I'm not going to say he carried Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick's got a good verse. He always got a good verse. I don't know when he's ever not going to have a good verse. But Schoolboy Q just came in and he brought his A game and he took over this whole thing. It was amazing. Kendrick's hook is really catchy. And then we got a pre-chorus and just really good verses from him. And then we got another Alori Joe outro. Sounds amazing, but Schoolboy Q just robbed the song. Like, my God, that man is great. And I'm just gonna move on. Spiteful Chant, put it back on Spotify. Clear that sample, whatever it was. I don't even know, but it's not on Spotify anymore. I don't want to add it to my playlist because it's a good song. Moving on. Great Jay Vontae intro on this one. Then we got a good verse from Kendrick Lamar. This one's also kind of an interlude. The chapter 6 and chapter 10 are just interludes and transitions back. This one's a shift back to talking about the people directly, about their vices and their pains, bringing back to the one that we started off, because this is chapter 10, then chapter 11 follows up next. And then, we got a good outro, more spoken words about this little circle. Now they're going to go back to talking about their pain more directly, more personal. And then we're going to just get into the next song. Keisha's song, Her Pain. Oh my God. I was not ready for this. I was just going about my business, listening to this song, thinking, wow, that's another great Ash Riser hook. That man's got a gift. He's got a great hook on Barbed Wire and Overly Dedicated. And he's got a great one here. Wow, this is a good song. Whoa, Kendrick Lamar's telling a really good story about this person. I wonder where it's going to go. Oh, no. I'm going to be honest, I did not see that coming. Why I didn't see that coming? I don't really know. Listening back to it, I'm like, I thought I was smarter than this. I thought I would be aware. But I wasn't, and it caught me off guard. Whoa. And then when I read about it, and then that last line where he was like, played it for his 11-year-old sister, like he just finished it, and then he pressed play. This is the 11th track because she was 11. And then, like, when you look at what happened, like, with his sister in real life, you're like, should have listened more to that. But, it's not as bad as this. It's not as bad as this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be like that nonchalant about it. I would probably be even more mortified. But yes, this goes to some dark places. It goes there really well, really effective. He really puts you into that environment. I think it's a great song, probably the best one on this album. But it's a heavy one. It's a heavy listen. So prepare yourself mentally. Like I did not. But it's a good song. I recommend it. I recommend it along with this whole album. Do not listen to it in a vacuum. At least listen to it with No Makeup, Her Vice. Because they are companion pieces. That was her vice. Now this is her pain. They are going together. They are one. So that is all I'm going to say about that. Listen to the song. Rigamortus is a very different shit from the last one. Because, whoa. But this one's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's a lot more upbeat sounding because, I love that great, arrogant, funny chorus where he's like, he did. Amen. I love that. I just think it's so catchy. It's just a breath of fresh air. It's a bit more uplifting than the last one. And, I love that beat with those horns. We got some good verses about this is just great Kendrick Lamar rapping. This is him, Kendrick Lamar, the rapper, talking about him being a rapper and about all that he's going through. And it's just a really nice breath of fresh air. It's a banger too. Like, this is just a good song. I recommend this song. I recommend all of these. I'm going to keep saying that every single time until you go stream this album. Section.80. It's on Spotify, except one song that you're going to have to look up on YouTube or something. So deal with it. Kush Corinthians, His Pain. We are now on to His Pain. We are nearing the end of this whole little pain, vice, all that. All those themes throughout, we're nearing the end of that. We have a great beat, but like I swear it's a slot machine, which makes sense because like the verses and the hooks talking about like his man's pain, his like struggle, his struggle from being like doing what's good and doing what feels good. Like there's right, and then there's what you want. And then the slot machine, I'm like, maybe he's a gambler, maybe that's what he's going through, like or something, or maybe it's not even a slot machine, and I'm just hearing things and making these connections that aren't actually there. I think it's great. I think Kendrick's verses are good again. Again, talking about his inner struggle. That's handled very well. And then we have a great BJ the Chicago Kid feature at the end. A great verse. I love BJ the Chicago Kid. That boy can sing. So, great song. Again, go listen to it with the rest of the album. Please. Okay, now, having listened to Good Kid, Mad City, I can appreciate this chorus a lot more. Having listened to Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z, I can appreciate this chorus a lot more because the first half is just MC's verse off of that song, and then he's got that swimming pool's voice, the The Drank verse, not the Drank hook from Swimming Pools. He's got that voice. It's amazing. I was like, whoa, that's the same voice. It's awesome. This song is great. With tonight, this tribute to Aaliyah, I believe that's how you say it. Tribute, like basically throughout the whole song. We got the whole bridge. We have like just little samples and pre-chorus, and then we have a whole outro just by her somewhere in the like towards the end, which is great. Good verses from Kendrick again. And then this is just where like the stories kind of just end, and now it's all just from his point of view for the most part. And I think that's just handled really good. He is no longer telling things from others' perspective. He is only talking about his own. And we have a nice little tribute, which I always like, and a great chorus. So yeah, great song. See, this is what I meant when I said for the most part, because it is looking at one more person's perspective, but he's not telling that perspective. They are telling it themselves. And that is Ab-Soul's outro. Great beat, love the reference to live on your, would you rather live on your knees or die on your feet? It's a great one. Love that quote. Amazing verse from Ab-Soul. He's just going through all the themes and stories discussed throughout this whole album. They're just going through everything. This is like the Cliff Notes version of everything we just listened to. Great pre-chorus and verse from Kendrick Lamar, also doing the same thing. And then we have a Terrence Martin saxophone solo, towards the end. That was amazing. It's just like, hey, go. And then he just does a whole solo with a saxophone, and it sounds amazing. I love it. And then we got a great outro with Kendrick now being the man at the fire, who has kind of always been there, but now this is the first time that you're like, oh, it's him. And then he's just talking about his generation uniting and just showing their worth of Generation Y under HiiiPoWeR. Speaking of HiiiPoWeR, that leads us to the final song, HiiiPoWeR, the themes that have been built up and teased since actually overly dedicated, because I think the album ends with them referencing HiiiPoWeR, and now we're back here. And this beat is produced by J. Cole. That J. Cole, yes, J. Cole. J. Cole. Wow. Did you see that coming? I didn't. I was like, wait, what? J. Cole? Really? Wow. That's cool. That's very interesting. When's the album boys? You've been teasing it for a decade. Anyway, great hooks and verses from Kendrick Lamar, talking about what HiiiPoWeR is, which I also don't really want to explain. You figure that out for yourself. And then we have, just more of everything I've been saying. We have a good hook because, Kendrick Lamar kind of abandoned the bad hooks after the first half. And then, good verses. And then we have more things tying back to the themes. I can only repeat these things so much. Just go listen to it yourself. That is Section 80, over and done with. We are here. We are finished. What did I think of it? Loved it. Great. Better on the second listen, I'll be honest. The first one, maybe it's because I was not really conscious. But, I didn't think it was as good as the others. I still don't think it is as good as the others. Out of what I've heard, I'm pretty sure this is the weakest. But that says a lot, because this album's still really solid. It's got great themes, great songs, great guest appearances, great storytelling, great everything. This is just a great record. I advise you to listen to it ASAP. I'm gonna give this a light 8. This is a light 8. Very good. Very solid effort from Kendrick Lamar. And I look forward to going into what is next. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, share, subscribe, comment below. Are you excited for the rest of the video? I am trying to get these done soon. It's finals week, so gotta study, gotta work on an English project that I haven't even started. That is gonna determine whether I do well in this class or not. I'm scared. Pray for me. By the time this is out, I probably would have already been done with it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, goodbye. I'm going back to sleep.